Good afternoon. Today I'll continue to be talking about the coronavirus. So today I want to talk about again how the virus affects your body. So we all know that it's a respiratory virus, but let's just talk about today how it specifically attacks the body and how it can, in some severe cases, lead to death of the death of the individual. So the first thing is to first you get infected, mainly through respiratory droplets, which is basically cough or sneeze droplets, which would then enter your respiratory organs such as your nose, your mouth, your throat. It can also be possible for the virus to remain on a surface, like a metal surface, and it can be transferred by touch and enter through the body. So if you touch your face, then it can enter your body through that way too, which is why it's quite important to always wash your hands and just try to avoid touching your face and other stuff. So today the second thing is that you develop flu-like symptoms, dry cough, fever, tiredness. So what happens here is that the virus is going to infect epithelial cells in the lining of the lung. So it will replicate into the cell until it kills the cell. So at first, this takes place in the upper respiratory tract, which includes the nose, mouth, larynx, and bronchi. Therefore, when the patient then begins to experience mild versions of the symptoms, which is flu-like dry cough, shortness of breath, headache, muscle pain, therefore at first it's the upper respiratory tract, and it's often dry cough, back of the throat. So mainly in younger populations, the immune response can stop the virus when it reaches the upper respiratory tract. However, in cases where the immune system is damaged, then the symptoms become severe as it enters the lower respiratory tract. So at the lower respiratory tract, they would develop pneumonia or autoimmune diseases. So they would basically attack the lungs, because the lungs are the major target, and it goes further down the windpipe and into the lung. So therefore here it also causes problems like bronchitis and pneumonia, which I've mentioned before. Pneumonia is basically shortness of breath combined with the cough, and affects tiny air sacs in lungs. Here, alveoli. So the alveoli are where the oxygen and the carbon dioxide are exchanged. So it's basically like tiny air sacs which would expand if you, for example, take a breath. And when the pneumonia occurs, the thin layer of alveolar cells is damaged by the virus, and as a result, the immune cells have to heal and continue to inflame the layer of these cells, and that results in the linings become thicker than normal. And as they thicken more and more, you have less air. They have less air which they can contain, and so they essentially choke off the little air pocket. And so you can't get, and as a result, you cannot get oxygen to your blood. So and many of the air sacs are going to be filled up with fluid, which is even worse. So basically, you are just going to be damaged, as air sacs are being damaged in your lung, and so oxygen can't get into your blood. So the next thing, what happens after after oxygen cannot get to your blood, it's going to affect the brain, the liver, the kidney, all those organs, and respiratory failure could lead to eventually organ failure and death. Before that, though, I'd also mention there is a possibility of severe cases that develop into acute respiratory distress syndrome, which requires the patient to be placed on a ventilator to supply oxygen. This is before the lung is too damaged to even a ventilator won't help, and that could lead to organ failure and death. So that's why medical equipment is so needed, because of these people who are developing severe symptoms and need a ventilator help to help breathe, otherwise their lungs too damaged to do it on itself, and as a result they would just when organs not have enough oxygen, they would eventually go into multiple organ failure and death. So that's it. Thank you for listening.